and I'm glad so many people here were there, because it was, I forgot how affecting it was being there. It was amazing. So tell me about the genesis. How did that concert come about?
Well, our first adventures in America had been with U2 in 1983, and we played there under a blood red. Well, we didn't play, but we were at the Under a Blood Red Sky concert. We almost played, but it kind of got rained off. And if you see that concert, watch back at that concert, you'll see when they play 40, the Edges playing my guitar, because it was set up for me to go on and play Hard Rain's Gonna Fall, but it never actually happened. And we had a very close affinity with U2 through their manager Paul McGuinness and our manager Ian Wilson. And at the time in 1983, Ian Wilson was the agent for U2 as well, so he was booking all their shows. So we were really close-knit, we were really good friends with the band as well. And I think Ian Wilson had studied how U2 had broken America. In fact, when we got asked to do the tour, we found out years later that there was one stipulation from U2's manager Paul McGuinness to Ian. He said, look Ian, if you come on the U2 War Tour, you've got to be with our agency Premier Talent. So the connections were starting then. And I think Ian saw how powerful the Under a Blood Red Sky concert was for U2 and thought something similar for The Alarm would be a great opportunity, and that was manifested on April 12, 1986.
Awesome. I mean, okay, so you're going to do it in Los Angeles. I mean, great for me, right? Great for big people here. Why was LA chosen as the place to do it?
Well, it was because it was the home of our record label, IRS Records, in America, and the event was venue was chosen by Carl Grasso, who was the artistic director for IRS Records, and they'd actually tried something similar with the English Beat not long before our show, but the English Beat wouldn't allow it to be promoted and filmed because they were doing a ticketed show the night before or the night after, and they didn't want a free show to affect the ticket sales for their main concert in California and the promoters and everything. So it was just announced on the day, and a few thousand people came to see them play. But Carl Grasso, who engineered that show, always thought this would be great for future use. And when Ian Wilson, our manager, was talking to IRS about an event that would highlight all the great work The Alarm were doing and how much affinity they were building with their audience and how it was all, everywhere was turning on to the band, Carl said, why don't we do this concert at UCLA? I'm sure we can get MTV to film it. And that's exactly what happened. And I think it worked out well that it was a global satellite broadcast. It was the first time that had ever happened, by the way. Live Aid had happened almost a year before, but that wasn't actually a global satellite broadcast. It was broadcast in Britain, and highlights were shipped out for the American one, and we got to see highlights of the American one from Philadelphia. But none of it was live around the world. That's why Phil Collins flew from London to be in America so he could be live twice.
Is that why you chose to do it at 3 o'clock in the afternoon?
That was definitely the consideration, because at 3 o'clock in Los Angeles, it was 6 o'clock in New York. On the East Coast, it was 11 o'clock at night in the UK, it was midnight in Europe, and then from Asia, it was the morning for Australia and Japan. So it was probably the only hour that everyone's awake in the world. And so 3 o'clock Los Angeles is the hour.